The Center for Educational Media and the College of Education at Middle Tennessee State University are proud to offer professional development to K-12 educators in Tennessee through our online video library. These videos are aligned with standards set by the Tennessee Department of Education. For more professional development videos, check out our website at cem.mtsu.edu.
I'm happy to introduce Jamie Grammer and Mark Potivihoke. And I've been practicing his name for 10 minutes. Jamie Grammer, Mark Potivihoke from Tennessee Department of Education. And Brittany Slagle, my mistake, Brittany. Again, they are presenting today. You know, I talked about the topics that y'all request. This is the exception to the rule. I say y'all present on whatever you want to present on that you think school counselors can benefit from. And so they will be presenting some updates today and some various information for school counselors in Tennessee. We are so happy all of you are here today. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I know several people have already said good morning, so you don't have to say it back, but I do want to say good morning to you. I appreciate you for being here today. I was texting Brittany this morning, and I said, it doesn't matter how many times I come to this campus and come to this specific building, my GPS never takes me the same way. I never park in the same parking lot, and I'm always confused on where I am. But somehow I made it. Brittany even texted me, oh, I see you, so she could see me across the parking lot. But we're excited to be here with you today. I've got a few updates to share, and then Brittany's gonna come talk about a few things, and then Mark will finish us off. And I think, if that's okay with Dr. Clark, we're just gonna do questions at the end, unless you just have one that's just burning a hole in your pocket and you must ask it. Then we'll take questions at the end. So I just have a few updates to go over. Oh, I guess I could introduce myself. Jamie Grammer, School Counseling Manager. I sit in the Division of Coordinated School Health. So if you've heard me talk before, you've heard my little spiel about coordinated school health and the fact that it's 8 interconnected components that really support all the non-academic needs of students, which school counseling, psychological, and social services being a part of that. It includes school nurses. It includes physical activity and physical education. It includes family and community engagement. It includes all the different things that you think of when you think of those non-academic supports. And I say this all the time. I feel like we have to Maslow before we can bloom. So I feel like our division, I know academics is really, really important, but I really feel like the work our division does supports all those academic needs. So, all right, so we'll go through a few updates, and nobody's using AI, but we always have to include that slide. So the first thing I have, there is a new information about the instruction for safe haven education. So if you're not familiar with that, for 9 through 12, the students have to be educated on the safe surrender of a newborn. Okay, so that is just some instructional guidance on how you can do that. That does not necessarily mean you're the person that will be doing it, but they do have to have instruction on that. I think generally Lifetime Wellness is going to be the place that they would like to have that instruction be done. But I just wanted you to be aware that is out there, and it can give you a little guidance on that. The next thing is the Teen Social Media and Internet Safety Quick Reference Guide. That was legislation that went into effect last year, and so this is just a guidance document to help educate students on the safe use of social media and the internet. We know we can never say too much about internet and social media safety. We also have this resource for vaping and mental health. That is something we have heard throughout the state from all districts is, what are we gonna do about our students vaping? When I was a student and a baby teacher and baby counselor, smoking was still the thing that we had to worry about, and then vaping has now become the new thing. Kids think that it's safe. They think it's better than, or less harmful than cigarettes and other things. So this is just some help that you can give to parents, to students, to staff, to really help students understand how vaping can affect your physical health and your mental health. And then there is a tool that ASCA has come out with, and it's a suicide gathering tool. It's information gathering tool. And it's not an interview type, it really is to kind of guide a conversation with a student that you may feel like is experiencing suicidal ideation. So you may already have a tool that you love, that you really feel like is effective, but if you're looking for something, ASCA came out with this a couple of months ago, and it's proven to be very effective so far. All right, here are some ways, and if you've heard me talk before, you know I will beat this into you. I want you to stay connected with the people that are doing the work that you do, because I know some of you may not have a supervisor in your district, so you don't have anybody that's really looking over the work of school counselors. So these are some ways you can stay connected with your peers. We have the School Counseling Advisory Council. That application will be opening in the next couple of weeks, and we'll take several new members for this upcoming year. We'd love to have you be a part of that if you really want to be a part of kind of the ground level and decision making on that. We meet monthly, and it's virtual, except for we will meet in person at Scally this year. So love to have you if you're interested in that. We do have the regional response team, and again, that is a group of people that have decided they are willing to go regionally and support other school counselors in a time of trauma or crisis. So if you're interested in doing that, you can sign up for that. I really only had to reach out a couple of times this year, so thank goodness. But there were, after the Clarksville-Montgomery bus incident, and then also the Haywood County shooting before prom. So there were a couple different situations where I was able to reach out to counselors in the area, and they were able to go in and help provide support. Kind of piggybacking off of that, so that is just, there's no money tied to that, sorry. But there is another opportunity if you are interested in really providing crisis support throughout the state, and honestly, possibly throughout the Southeast. There is the SREB Crisis Recovery Network team. That application is open right now, and what they are doing is seeking 40 school counselors, and you must be a practicing school counselor. 40 school counselors from the state of Tennessee will do a 2-day training in September on the PREPARE model, and basically they will train you in how to provide support in a crisis situation. The big thing there is they are paying your expenses for you to be trained. The training is going to be held in Nashville, so they will cover your expenses to get there, they'll cover your hotel, and they'll cover your food. The biggest thing that they ask is you have to have your superintendent's permission to participate, because even though they pay for your expenses to be trained, and then if you're deployed in a situation, they pay for all those expenses, they do not pay your daily wage. So your superintendent has to agree that if you're pulled from your building to go support another district, that you would not have to take leave without pay or take your sick days or your annual days or anything like that, that they would actually cover your daily wage. If you have specific questions about that, I'm happy to answer any of those at the end or give you a link to sign up. I know that Linda has already sent out a few acceptances for those that have already applied, so would love to have you as part of that. Even if you're never deployed for any event, it is a great training to have for you to be able to support your district. And one of the things she said is it's a max of 10 days per calendar year. So you're looking at your 2 days of training, and then your max would be an additional 8 days of being pulled out of your building, no more than 5 days at a time. So some of you may be thinking, well, with my family responsibilities, it may not be the best time. So, but if you want more information, happy to provide that. I would love to have you be a part of the School Counselor Teams page, and even more, I would love for you to post on the School Counselor Teams page. Raise your hand if you're a member of the School Counselor Teams page. Anybody? One, two, maybe? Okay. I want you to sign up. So that is on our website. If you Google Tennessee School Counseling, go to the website, there's a place you can sign up for the Teams page. What that is right now is me posting. That's what it is right now. What I want it to be is a place where you can get information, you can ask questions, you can share resources, you can ask your colleagues from across the state, hey, I don't really want to invent the wheel. I also don't want to pay for Teachers Pay Teachers to get something. Who's got something great I can use for XYZ? Okay, that's really what I want it to be. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter, you can also do that on that same school counseling page. That's the School Counselor Connection. It only goes out August to May, so we don't have any summer issues, but August to May, you can look for that towards the end of each month. The School Counselor listserv, if you want to make sure you stay in the know, if there's something that comes up, you can be a part of the listserv and you'll get those emails. I will tell you those are few and far between. With all the hoops we have to jump through our communications process, you might get 1 or 2 of those emails a year. Something I started last year were school counseling office hours. And people are like, what are office hours? Think about college. It's a time that I'm available online. You can get on there, ask any questions that you have. If there's something you saw in the newsletter, if there's something going on in your building, there's not a set, like I don't do any presentations or anything like that during office hours. It really is just a time for you to come and ask questions. And of course, you can email me or call me anytime, but that's a great time for you to get on, especially if maybe there's a couple of people in your district that are you want to talk through some things. It's a great time to hop on there. Our regional school counselor collaboratives or our student success summits. In the fall, we call them student success summits. That's a tongue twister. And in the spring, we call them the regional school counselor collaboratives. We would love for you to be a part of those. We have a few dates in the books, but they have not been advertised yet. Those will be end of October, first part of November for the fall, and then more than likely in April in the spring. But those dates and signups will be in the August newsletter, so be looking for that. We'd love to have you a part of that. The fall collaboratives are full day, and our wonderful THEC partners, and you're gonna meet Mark if you haven't already, they provide a light breakfast and lunch for you. So we would love to have you at those collaboratives, be able to be with your colleagues and get all sorts of information. And then also this last thing, I started this past year meeting with school counseling supervisors. So if you are a school counseling supervisor in this room, I would love to get connected with you and make sure you're connected to the supervisor meetings. We're going to do those. I just did one per semester this past year, but I'm going to do those every other month. And in the spring, I'm going to try to get an in-person meeting with the supervisor. So if you're not a supervisor, tell your supervisor to get connected so they can collaborate with other supervisors and really understand the work of school counselors. Because I hear from school counselors all the time, they say, you know, my supervisor's great, but they've never been a school counselor. And they really don't understand what my role is. They want to support me, but they really don't understand my role. So get them connected with other supervisors. It's a great, great thing. All right, and here's some PD opportunities. I already talked about the SREB, Crisis Recovery Network. So again, it's 2 days of professional development on the Prepare model, and then you would be technically qualified to go and do other situations. School Counselor and Administrators Leadership Institute, SCALI, that is at the end of September. I may get these dates wrong, September 27th through 29th. Can anybody? Yes, excellent. We'd love to see you there. I will have a table there. Come by and say hi. There's tons of things to learn. And I already talked about the Fall Student Success Summits and the Spring School Counselor Collabs. One more thing, just to show of hands. Is anybody headed to ASCA this week? Anybody? No? Okay, so the American School Counselor Association conference is in New Orleans. It starts technically on the 11th, so I was hoping that some of you were going to be there. Next year, I believe it's in Columbus, Ohio, not nearly as exciting as New Orleans, and then I think Seattle the next year, but I always like to put a plug in. If you don't have professional development dollars, if you get told, hey, we don't have any money for you to go do X, Y, and Z, I always tell people, talk to your coordinated school health coordinator, okay? Now, don't tell them, hey, Jamie said you had money to give me to be able to go and get professionally developed. I'm not saying that, but go ahead and put a bug in their ear that you would like to do certain professional developments so that if they have the funding, they can give it to you, okay? Or they can allocate it for you for the next year, because that's what they're there for, to support all those 8 interworking components of coordinated school health, okay? All right, and that wraps it up for me on updates. Oh, there was one more thing. I told a story. So legislative updates. Every year after legislative season, TDOE compiles a list of all the legislative updates that affect K-12 students. That should be coming out very, very soon. It will come out in the Commissioner's Update for Directors. I can tell you that, so you may want to ask your director in the next couple of weeks, hey, have we gotten the legislative updates from TDOE? I will post that on the Teams page, and then it will also be in the August newsletter. But it is a great way to get you connected with any legislative updates that have anything to do with possibly your role in K-12. All right. Okay, there's my contact information. I also say this all the time. Feel free to call that phone number, but I probably won't answer. So text it or leave me a voicemail. I was telling them earlier, I said, I'll turn my phone off. I know no one's going to call me except spam, but you're welcome to call me. Email is the best way just because I can get that at any time. So thank y'all so much for your time this morning, and I'm gonna turn it over to Brittany.
All right, thank you all so much for having me today. My name is Brittany Slagle. I'm the Manager of Individualized Advising with the Tennessee Department of Ed. I sit in a similar but different division than Jamie. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of the division CCTE. Anybody? What about PWCMR? Heard of that one? They're one and the same, well, kind of. We did a rebrand about a year or so ago, so we're the division formerly known as CCTE, now PWCMR, which stands for Post-Secondary, Workforce, CTE, and Military Readiness. And fun fact, last year, right here, as I was presenting to you all, was the very first time that I had to publicly say PWCMR, and I don't know if I got it right, but I did get it right today. We had that change happen right as soon as I kind of hopped on with TDOE, and we were just getting used to things. So super excited to be here with you all today. A little bit about my background. I am a former high school counselor of about 10 years. I live in East Tennessee, so a little bit of a haul over, beyond Knoxville, a little closer to the Virginia line, and I'm super happy to be here with you all today. I've got some updates that I'm going to share with you all. So I'm going to share with you all today the vision of Future Ready TN. Have you all heard of that? I'm not surprised if there aren't many hands, which is why I wanted to share it with you all today. Last year I teased about Future Ready TN a little bit, but we weren't ready to publicly give all of the information about this new initiative in our division, so I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about it today. And Future Ready TN, what it is it's really a way to kind of rethink how we are presenting opportunities to students while they're with us, K-12. So it's not just a high school initiative, it's not just for middle school or elementary, it really spans K-12, and then even goes a step further into life after high school, like what that student can expect with whenever they toss their cap and walk across the stage, or walk across the stage and toss their cap, what life can look like for them. So really what we're doing in this space is we're breaking down education as we know it into 4 different pillars. Those pillars are credentials of value, individualized advising, which is that's where we're gonna land a little bit today, seamless transitions, and then work-based learning. In credentials of value, what we're really trying to look at here are those credentials of value for students. So if you're in high school land, you all have heard of industry credentials and what those mean. For a long time, industry credentials has kind of been this word that we use for things and not fully understand what they mean for students once they obtain them. And honestly, if we're being truthful, students have a hard time understanding what those industry credentials mean in the workplace, in the workforce, how they can give them a leg up on the career that they're entering. So we're really doing a lot of work in this space to bring more awareness to industry credentials, to make them more aligned with our CTE programs, and to tier them in a way that shows that workplaces or employers or industries really have high value on certain industry credentials over others, and what makes those students more employable whenever they finish high school. So we're really doing a lot of work there. Stephanie Kelly oversees that pillar. I'm gonna skip individualized advising because that's my pillar and we're gonna talk about it anyway. Seamless transitions, this is really looking at what happens, what students can earn while they're in high school. So early post-secondary opportunities, EPSOs of all kinds, and what that translates to after high school, what they graduate with. So in this pillar, we're doing a lot of work around dual enrollment. We're doing a lot of work around advanced placement, APAA, so AP Access for All, local dual credit. Of course, we know state dual credit is being phased out. There's still some things being done in that space, but that's sunsetting. Industry credentials, that kind of falls into seamless transitions too, and I know I missed one of the EPSOs, but all of those things kind of fall into seamless transitions, and the goal of seamless transitions is kind of hand in hand with the goal of individualized advising, and that is what can we do while we have students in our spaces to help them be able to transition into life after high school seamlessly. That's super important. We want to make sure that they have a great time graduating, but what are they doing that next day, that next week? So seamless transitions and individualized advising, they kind of work hand in hand to support that, so we'll talk about it a little bit more. And then the very last pillar, if you're in the high school space, you've heard of work-based learning, where Matthew Spinella, he oversees the work-based learning pillar and is doing a lot of really important work in that space to help create more work-based learning opportunities for students to onboard different industries, to really kind of expand those opportunities. So they're not here, but I'm not gonna steal their thunder. There's tons of presentations that we've done about this. I can direct those to you if you would like, but we're really gonna spend our time today talking about individualized advising. This is the land that I live in. My former high school counselor self really loves the advising landscape. So I was really excited whenever I found that I was going to be overseeing a lot of the things that go on in individualized advising. So there's I wouldn't say two, there are multiple buckets that I oversee. The first is all things high school and beyond plan. So if you're a middle school counselor, 8th grade-ish high school counselor, you probably know a lot about high school and beyond plan. We're going to get into that in a little bit. I think that expands further than just 8th grade through 12th grade. Everyone needs to know about advising because advising happens everywhere. So we'll talk about that too. But I also oversee our career coaches, and you may or may not have career coaches in your school. But really what career coaches do to serve students is they are able to really kind of dig in and do some good, deep, individualized advising with students. They're able to help connect them to industries in the community, helping with job applications, even college applications, financial aid applications. Career coaches kind of do a lot of the same things that school counselors do because we know your all's plates are so very full. So we're really trying to support our career coaches that are across the state, and I help facilitate a lot of that support. So you'll hopefully hear more about career coaching as it kind of picks up some speed. But that is an area that we're trying to spend a lot of our energy in developing. So that kind of falls into this individualized advising. We know everyone in here, whether you work with pre-K students or the big students, the 12th graders, or any in between, we're all advising in some way, shape, or form. You don't have to be a counselor, a school counselor, to advise. An English teacher can sometimes find themselves advising students. An administrator who's having a disciplinary conversation with a student, sometimes that kind of leans into advisory. We know advising doesn't just happen in one person's office in the school. It happens everywhere. I coached volleyball for what feels like 100 years. I advised while I was coaching volleyball. So advising really happens everywhere. So what we're trying to do in this space, in this pillar, is to make sure that anyone, because that's all of us that does advising, has access to resources and materials that can help them have good, right, true advising conversations with students. Because it's not a good advising experience if the information that's being advised on isn't right and true. So we're wanting to make sure that everyone across the board, not just career coaches, not just school counselors, we're wanting to make sure that everyone has access to advising information so that we can all play our part in helping students get to where they want to be. It's super important. So that's a lot of the work we're doing in the individualized advising space. Some key actions and milestones. One that I mentioned earlier, we're expanding career coaches. We're hoping to expand career coaches. Of course, that is not something that is state funded. That is a district decision. They have to employ a career coach. But we're wanting to expand the network of career coaches. So, like I said, being able to provide them professional development and support that they might not be getting otherwise. So PD kind of comes a lot in individualized advising. We're talking a lot about the high school and beyond plan. We're really digging into this high school and beyond plan policy, what it means at the school level, what it actually looks like, and how it's actually helping students. I have some data. I don't think I included it on here, but if you're really passionate about high school and beyond plan, you're having a hard time getting that started in your school, and you want some numbers to go behind it to maybe take to your administrators, I've got you. I can help give you those numbers to help support that. So we're looking at all things high school and beyond plan, career advising, of course, the assessments that take place in schools, which I have a slide on, and I'll get to it in a minute. And then we're going to ensure that, like I said earlier, that those advising experiences all across the state, all across the districts are high quality. So that's a lot of the action behind what we're doing. Let's see. So we'll get into some of the supportive policies. Like I said, high school and beyond plan is a big part of that. Within the individualized advising pillar, we've got two main policies that really fuel a lot of the work that we're doing. High school and beyond plan is one of them, and the career aptitude and interest assessment law is another. So the first we'll get into is high school and beyond plan policy. This is in two different locations. If you're a policy, you can really spend a lot of time digging into policy and you're interested in that kind of stuff. It can be found in two policies, the middle school policy, or middle grades policy, and the high school policy. Around page 8 or so on both of those, you can kind of dig into it. And basically what the high school and beyond plan is it is a tool that is created or informed or overseen by the school counselor that really helps in advising conversations. So it's a tool that helps both the student kind of understand what they're doing while they're in high school, all of the different opportunities that they have, and it helps the school counselor kind of have those conversations too. There's a bunch of different components of high school and beyond plan, but it begins in 8th grade. It integrates the career aptitude and interest assessment results as well as other student-centered data, maybe their own goals and interests that's not reflected in a career assessment, their just information that you learn about them while you're having conversations with them, all of those different types of data that we sometimes can capture in a system and sometimes can't capture in a system, all of that goes in to help inform that high school and beyond plan. So it's updated annually to reflect changes as students change. Sometimes students change their mind every year, sometimes it's every 5 minutes. I've had both back to back in my office in the same 10-minute span, it seems. So it is updated annually to reflect their interests. Also, the different paths to graduation. Sometimes students can miss a few credits or fail a few courses, and their way to get across that stage changes, and we got to scramble at the last minute and put something together. The High School and Beyond Plan is an organizational tool that can really help kind of put that out, in sections for students, just so that everyone knows what they're required to do. Like I said, it includes those required courses that we know all students have to graduate, but it also includes other things like their early post-secondary opportunities, their aligned dual enrollment courses, aligned AP opportunities, industry credentials that they can learn or earn, CTE opportunities. All of these different things exist within this High School and Beyond plan. And then eventually, once a student becomes a junior, it's updated to include information about specific due dates, applications, information that's unique to them and what they can expect for life after high school. It includes all of that information. So a lot of times we see this as Tennessee Promise information, FAFSA information. If we've got a student that's interested in enlisting with the military, maybe their recruiter information, if you've got access to that, or someone that you can kind of help point them to. So it's got all of that information wrapped up in a nice, neat package to really help support them through high school and beyond. In Tennessee, it is law that students have access to a career aptitude and a career interest assessment. That is mandated, is required by law. In 7th or 8th grade, it's required that students take an aptitude assessment. In grades 8 or 9, there's some discrepancies about when that has to happen, but in grades 8 or 9, students have to take an interest assessment. Where this gets funky is a lot of the career exploration tools that you all use in your schools. It could be Major Clarity, it could be Zello, it could be College for TN. They've got a great career exploration tool. What else? There's so many. U-Science, Schoology, there's so many. Whatever your platform that you use, a lot of times it doesn't explicitly say, Brittany is sitting down right now taking an aptitude assessment. And then a year later, it doesn't say Brittany Slagle is sitting down right now to take an interest assessment. And a lot of schools get really hung up on what those two things mean, because what these different vendors have done is they've kind of created a aptitude and interest combo. And it doesn't explicitly say this is your aptitude result, this is your interest result. But the law does say that you have to have access, you have to complete the aptitude and the interest. But a lot of times these vendors are not calling it aptitude and interest. And a lot of folks get really, really hesitant about that because it's just the difference between the law and the vendor. So we've put together a resource that kind of outlines several different vendors that we know that a lot of schools contract with specifically for aptitude and interest purposes. That says if they meet aptitude and interest. So there's a lot of, I get questions about that almost weekly of folks panicking because they don't see the word aptitude with their vendor. And usually it is fine. So I did just want to kind of plug that a little bit. I swear I had a slide on that. Anyway, so that is, if you have questions about that or how to access that list, I'm happy to send that to you if you need it. It's also on our website. All right, some other goals of individualized advising, kind of what we're doing is we're going to, we have launched, the verbiage is wrong here, but we have launched a career coaching network. Now it says career coaching network, but please know these are advising resources that, again, because advising happens everywhere, that are available to everyone. So we have a link to a separate webpage that houses tons of different information that might be helpful for you as you're advising students or someone else in your building. We've got information about all things High School and Beyond plan. We've got work-based learning information. We've got deep dives into all the different early post-secondary opportunities. Tons of resources on this career coaching network that you can utilize in your normal day-to-day. What we did was we actually polled a bunch of career coaches and school counselors. What are some resources that you go for regularly in your jobs? And we put those in one place so you don't have to filter through all of the different sub-websites through TDOE. So we've got a directory of career coaches. If you have a career coach in your building, please let them know that I'm here to help them. If you want to send me their name and email address, I will happily add them to my little list that I keep up with. And kind of similar to Jamie, if we have updates, we'll send them out to them very infrequently, however, because there is quite the process that we have to go through. Another few things that aren't on this slide that we're working towards over the next kind of what you can expect for this school year. We're so excited to be building and launching a course for advising. A lot of times we know that what school counselors learn about advising, they're kind of learning on the fly. You're learning it alongside a student because they have a super special circumstance that you've maybe never encountered before. So we're trying to put all of these different pieces of the advising puzzle together in one course that we're calling a Future Ready Career Coaching and Advising course that will hopefully be launched by the end of this calendar year and ready for folks to enroll in to be able to earn a badge on their license. So it's going to tag on to your school counseling license or a teaching license in general, that you'll be able to say, I have successfully completed this course, I have learned all there is to know, not all there is to know, but a lot of what there is to know about advising students. The thing I like most about this course is that it doesn't just provide information for advising the student that's college bound, right? We all in this room know that there are viable pathways for students that don't include going to college directly after high school. So how do we advise those students to get the most out of the decisions that they're making? So we're talking about advising students that are going straight into the workforce, advising students who are going into the military, giving them resources that was the one thing that I had the least amount of information about whenever I was a high school counselor was military advisement. I always got really nervous. I was like, I don't know anything about this. I'm calling someone else. So I didn't have a lot of information to be able to give students in that moment. For me, I always had to farm that out to somebody else. So there's going to be information about military advisement, advising students in unique circumstances, so students who have IEPs or 504s or learning differences, how we can help advise them, how we can help students who are first-generation college students. That looks a little different. Just the information that they might need, the support that they might need. Students who are, athletes. That was also a topic that I didn't receive a lot of information about and always had to kind of phone a friend to get information about. So advising the future college athlete, advising the fine arts student, all of those different things will be covered in this course that we're developing. I'm very, very, very excited to launch that. If we do need a couple piloters, so if you do have interest in piloting that course, please email me. We're hoping to launch the pilot in late September for mass rollout to everyone to be able to enroll after we get it approved with State Board of Education. We'll present that to the board in November, so it'll be approved and ready to rock and roll by the beginning of January, hopefully. But we need piloters, again, so if you're interested in that pilot, please email me and let me know. I would love to add you to that. Let's see, what else? What we got here? As Jamie mentioned, a lot of what we do is PD related. So I always tag along with Jamie and our THEC friends in the fall collaboratives, the Student Success Summits, and the spring fall collaboratives too. So I try to put out information that's advising specific in those. So if you have questions or just kind of want to hang out with us again and go over some new information, those are really good opportunities to kind of plug in there as well. We also do virtual monthly PD sessions. They're called Lunch and Learns that you can register for. And what we've done with that is we've taken any kind of advising topic that you can think of, and we've found a professional in the field who can really talk to that specific topic, and they present information. I'm able to offer an hour of PD for that, so it happens right in the middle of the day. We call it a lunch and learn. We try to keep it in the lunch hour. And we have folks come on and they can talk about some of the topics we had last year. Of course, we had some high school and beyond plan stuff. We had some networking. We had a couple people from my neck of the woods come in and talk about teaching students how to network, the importance of that, designing career fairs that work. that aren't just folks walking around table to table, not making eye contact with the adults behind the table, but actually engaging those students, what those can look like. We've had all different types of conversations, and we will continue to do that starting in August. We'll have one of our career coaches from a little bit more my neck of the woods talk to us about an interview-ready workshop that she puts on for her middle school students. That's really impactful. So lots of different wonderful things going on across the state. These are not Brittany Slagle talking. I know y'all would rather hear from people who are in the field working, doing the job day in and day out. So that's really who we try to bring onto those webinars, are folks that are boots on the ground, dealing with students, working with those every day. So lots of really cool conversations that we have on those webinars. So we do those monthly. The topic, date, and the registration for that typically go out the month that it happens. So like our August webinar, the registration for that will go live in early August. So, and that will be in the PWCMR newsletter. And I believe, Jamie, you put those in your newsletter too. So if you're subscribed to either of those, you'll get that information. They're always a lot of fun, so a lot of neat information. A couple other PD plugs, if you are interested. Next week, they are having two different things. They're having the CTE Institute, which some of you all might have participated in previous years. They've really taken CTE Institute and what used to be like a 2-week-long experience, they've shrank it down to 3, and Career Coaching and Advising has the first day of that. So if you're interested in attending, I believe registration is still open. I can send you that link if you need it, but it is on Monday, July 13th. It's in the Farm Bureau Expo Center, just a couple, maybe about an hour or so down the road, right outside of Nashville. But that's going to be Monday, July 13th. And then another that is not on this screen is a dual enrollment conference, the very first dual enrollment conference that has been put on. It's going to be at Walter State on July 14th. So if that is something that you work in and want to learn more about, you can look for those opportunities and hopefully still be able to register for them. All right, here is a link to the Career Coach Network. If you want to scan that QR code, it's going to take you right to that online repository of all those resources that I talked about earlier. Tons of information. We also put the Lunch and Learn webinar signups, the registrations on there as well. You're not going to find that on there right now because, like I said, we're not live with those yet, but you can find those on there. That QR code is going to take you to the PWCMR newsletter if you would like to sign up for that. And then my contact information, again, same as Jamie, you can call that number. Please follow it up with a text. I'm always very surprised whenever the phone rings, especially if there's a real person on the other end. I almost kind of forget what to do whenever I answer it because I'm like, oh, this is actually someone who meant to call me. So then we have a conversation. But yeah, you can call, email, text at any time. All right, and I will turn it over to Mark. Here you go.
Before I start, two bits of housekeeping for me. These two are amazing. We travel a lot together. We go to a lot of places. Some of these two put so much time and effort into supporting anybody that calls them. I've seen them take meetings in like a tiny little closet off like we're presenting in a big room, and then they're jumping off and going into a tiny room and presenting. These two are amazing. I'm so grateful for you two. They're amazing. Secondly, I'm so grateful for you all. Spending your time, I know it's a lot of times thankless, and there's a lot of things that get added to your plate, and you're running, and you're trying to support students, you're trying to support your school. I'm just so grateful for all the work that you all do. You're amazing. So I'm Mark Potivioc. I work for THEC, the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. You might have heard TSAC or THEC. We're kind of one now. We used to have two boards, and now they're merged into one. So you're going to see a lot of the branding for TSAC start to move to THEC. So for instance, the TSAC Student Portal is now THEC Student Portal. So that is our organization. THEC, we were founded in 1967. Two of the big things that I like to talk about, we handle or help develop the state master plan for higher education. And the big thing is we help administer over 20 state aid, financial aid type things. We hand out around over $500 million a year. This past year, that's your Tennessee Promise, your dual enrollment grant, your HOPE, TSAA, that all comes through THEC. So this is my bureau. There are many bureaus within THEC, but this is my bureau. We are the College Access and Outreach Bureau. These are kind of what falls under us. Gear Up Tennessee, that's a federal funded grant that was awarded to the state. That is on 4.0 this year. We just got a new grant, I think it was last year. Advise Tennessee, that is state-based, state-funded. Statewide services, that's what we're going to talk about a lot today. They handle the next guides, those sort of things. The outreach team, that is Jason C. I'm sure you've heard that name somewhere along the line. Him and his team is amazing. They get out and talk about financial aid a lot. Navigate Reconnect, that's for our non-traditional student. So that's your Tennessee Reconnect or your TCAT Reconnect. And so they help support the non-traditional student. This is our college going rate for the past few years. As you can see, there's a big dip. We all know what kind of happened there. And we're slowly getting this back up. We're hoping that direct admissions, which is what I'm a part of and what I've been handling over the past year and what we'll talk about a lot here in a little bit, will help raise that. This is big. This is a testament to you all and all the supports and all the things you all give. It says second. We teeter between first and second on FAFSA completions. My boss makes sure I tell everybody we're actually number one because we're the only state that's in the top 3 that it's not mandated that the student do FAFSA as part of graduation. So this is amazing for us. Like, this shows everything you need to know about the volunteer state and the amazing work that you all are doing. That's a huge accomplishment for Tennessee. Just kind of reiterating the numbers. We're going to keep doing this. This is amazing. So FAFSA completions are moving. This is one of our big websites. This is our website, College for TN. So I was an advisor at Stratford High School. The career finder is amazing because we all work with our students. We all know they want to be a dog walker and work 1 day a week and drive the best car in the world and live in a mansion. We all know that that's a great dream, and I would love that dream for them, but it's probably not going to happen. And so the lifestyle calculator and the career finder helps them navigate through those sort of things. But there's a lot of great resources. There's a resource where they can look up the school, see how much it costs, how much aid's there, all the different things about the schools. It is a great, great resource, and I tended to use this a lot when I was an advisor. So communications from us, a big thing is the monthly newsletter. A lot of what's happening in college and higher education, specifically Tennessee, if it's coming to Hope or any of those types of things, comes out in the newsletter. We do have monthly webinars. I was a part of that and talked about direct admissions a few months back. But Jason C. and his team will jump on and talk about financial aid. We'll have the Advise team come on and talk about how they're supporting students in the high schools. And we have a lot of great resources coming through there. They are posted on the website on College for TN where you can go back and just watch and see. A big thing that's coming out soon, he's been working on it, Dustin Rawls. It's the College Access podcast. That is going to be an interesting one. We all love a good podcast. And so that's going to be big. These things are amazing. The next guides, if you do not have them, you can scan that QR code and get access. A new one that just launched this year is actually called the Launch Guide. It's for seniors that are transitioning from high school to freshman year of college, and it just kind of helps them guide through that. The high school-based one is a great resource I use with my students and families because it gives just a checklist of all the things that you need to do. It tells about financial aid. Now it has some information about direct admissions in it. They are amazing. Even the K-2, the elementary ones are amazing. It helps support and start those conversations like when it comes to college access and higher education and what it means. This is another big thing. We partnered with ETSU on this, their digital team, to help create this. It's just kind of a fun little thing that for elementary age students that they can kind of do some career research and exploration. The K-2 version will come in the fall, and then spring is the 3 through 5th grade. It's going to be a great fun little thing. I've got to mess around with it. Our kids who love video games will enjoy this part. So it's really cool. All right. Now, if I start talking really fast, it's because I presented this and it's a lot of information. Direct admissions. University of Wisconsin, Taylor Odell, and Harvard School of Graduate School of Education, Making Caring Common, came to us at Tennessee with the idea of making and simplifying the application process for our seniors here in Tennessee simpler, right? The average student applies to 5 to 10 universities. Think about doing 5 to 10 applications, paying 5 to 10 application fees. Our goal is to simplify that process. So we created a process using the Tennessee Promise application. So a student does their Tennessee Promise application, and once we get that and their high school GPA supplied by the high schools, they will then get a letter through the mail with the governor's a letter on it and signature saying all the schools that they're available for admissions into. And so this year we have over 60 universities that have partnered with us. In the pilot year last year, we had around 57. We've grown that exponentially this year and added some new schools. But last year, we mailed out around 45,000 letters. This year, based off of Tennessee Promise numbers from last year, we're thinking we're going to mail out around 70. Because last year, we were in a pilot study, so it went out to 255 high schools. And this year, it's going out to every state aid eligible senior in the class of 2027, so that includes homeschool, the rest of the public schools that weren't a part of it last year, private schools. And so we're really excited about that expansion. So 70,000 letters, it's giving me a little heartburn just thinking about it because the 45,000 was a lot last year. And so we're excited about that. We did move Tennessee Promise up to help facilitate getting the seniors signed up. Again, that's through the Tennessee Promise application, and then we get the high school GPA from you all. But we moved the application up to April 1st. We're not closing it early. We're leaving the close at the same time. As of last week, we were at around 15,000 applications already, so we're excited about that. That means if we pulled letters today and started to send them out, 15,000 students in Tennessee, we'd get a list of the high school or all the universities that are participating that they are eligible for. This is the list of the higher eds that are part of it. So all TBR schools, so TCATs, community colleges, and I think it's now 26 or 27 higher ed or four-year institutions. And then we also added more tech out of Memphis. That is our map of all our institutions. It's kind of daunting to think about it, and it makes me laugh because there's so many concentrated in certain areas. They're nowhere near where they're actually at on the map, but they're up there. So the way the process works, the seniors does their Tennessee Promise application. We get their GPA from you all. We get ACT from their ACT scores from ACT. We only store the highest composite ACT score. Then the student gets a letter generated to them, gets mailed to them. They also have access to it through their THEC student portal. And we are also batch mailing letters to the counselors at the high schools. And so they will have access to their page through 3 different venues as of right now. So then they'll go into the enrollment page, they'll select the schools that they want to attend, and then the information comes to us. We supply that to the institutions through the FAST, and then the institutions will reach out and give them next steps. So this is our timeline. So April 1st, we opened up Tennessee Promise. May 27th, we sent out the GPA upload to the high school counselors. As of yesterday, we had 96 high schools that had supplied their GPAs to us. And these are the big dates down here. So August 17th, so last year, we mailed out all the letters when Tennessee Promise closed. November 2nd, it closed, then we mailed out all the letters after that. That was a part of the research and making sure that all the students got the same treatment. Well, this year, we heard that the letters went out too late and a lot of students had already made their choice by then. And so we've moved the dates up. So our first data pool will happen August 17th. So 20 business days after that, the letters should start arriving in the mail. So we think it will start to hit around middle of September. That's to make sure testing and all that, like of the website, the letters are correct and everything, because these letters are so intricate, because if you think about 60 plus schools going on a student's letter, it's just not a mass letter, it's to them, it's specific to that student. So if a student can get into 5 schools, they only have 5 schools on their letter and they only have 5 schools on their enrollment page. If they can get into all the schools, it will show all the schools on their letter. So it's a lot of coding that goes into it, so we need that testing to ensure that the letters are correct. But we will be doing 4 separate mailings. So we'll do our first pull August 17th, then September 8th, that's the only Tuesday. Every other one is a Monday, and that's because Labor Day is Monday, September 7th. Then when Tennessee Promise closes, whoever hadn't got a letter up to that point will get their letter. So this is last year's letter. We actually finalized, for the most part, this year's letter. But as you can see, I didn't talk about this yet, but there's financial aid under each institution. And so that is big this year. Every institution, except for one, supplied us with some type of financial aid. And every student is going to get this. So in year 1, there were some students that didn't get financial aid. They were a part of the treatment group that didn't get it. Every student's getting financial aid. They'll be told if they're HOPE eligible, if they're GAMS eligible, and at the top 2 schools, so that's the closest TCAT and the closest community college based off of their proximity to the zip code of the school, of their high school. So we use the high school zip code to geolocate that. So this is what the enrollment page, so again, this mirrors their letter. So if it's on their letter, it's on their enrollment page, they would come and select here. So a student can select up to 2 community colleges, 2 TCATs, and 5 four-year institutions. They can't mingle that, so they can't do 1, 1, 7. It's 2, 2, 5. They can choose 1 of each. They can choose 0, but they can choose up to those maxes. So the big thing that we're trying to push this year is that early action, getting the students to do their Tennessee Promise, getting their GPAs to us early, and getting the whole process started so that they can make their choice, because institutions want to be able to start enrolling students. They can't start enrolling them till the student selects their spot, and the students can't select their spot until they get their letter. So we're really trying to get on the front end of this, get the letters out, and making sure that we're getting the letters out to the students. So the big thing is making sure that they're doing their Tennessee Promise applications, and then making sure that we're getting the GPAs from the high schools. Really just the quicker we can get it done, and it aligns with College Access and Awareness and Exploration Month in September. If we can get most of our letters mailed out by then, that would be amazing. And then there are some schools that have financial aid deadlines. That kind of didn't happen last year, whereas this year some of the institutions still have deadlines in terms of when their application needs to be complete with the institution or having the scholarship application done. So being on the front end of this and getting on top of it would be huge for our students and for the program and the institutions. Another big thing that we added this year, well, we had it last year, but we're really pushing is transcript exchange, making sure that transcripts are getting sent to the institutions, ACTs are getting sent to the institutions, because we are baseline information. There are some institutions that take super scores. There are some institutions that take weighted GPA versus unweighted GPA. So getting those transcripts, they're gonna see an amount on their page, but that amount may be higher once they send their transcripts and stuff in. So making sure, one, getting it done early, getting those transcripts sent and ACT scores sent. It's pretty big. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I would suggest to email the mark.pativioke. The other one gets to me, but it's kind of roundabout. It will go to a pot and then to me. But if you can spell my last name, it would be easier just to send it to me. I think we're into questions.
So, wow, this is a lot of great stuff, but this is your chance to talk directly to TDOE with any questions, any observations, any comments. So please, this is your chance. So raise your hand. We do ask that you wait for the mic to come to you so that we can get it on our recording. So, all right, questions, please. As they are thinking about their questions, if you were sitting out here, what questions do you think you would ask? I mean, you know, did you leave out anything, or do you want to reiterate something? What would you ask? What do you think they could be asking?
I did think of something. I can always think of something to fill silence. Something that I forgot to mention whenever I was speaking is some of the biggest questions that we kind of get in our division is related to course substitutions, graduation requirements, computer science, the math, the new algebra, all of that newness, AI, like all of that stuff kind of falls within our division of PWCMR, specifically with folks on my team. So if you have questions that has absolutely nothing to do with any of the things we talked about today, but maybe you're interested in learning more about that computer science, the new computer science graduation requirements, graduation recognitions, all of that kind of falls within the team that I'm on. So if you do have questions about that, I am not the expert, but I happen to be close and personal friends with who the experts are. So if you do have those questions, I can field them to them. I did forget to mention that.
And I'll piggyback on what Brittany said. Oh, and I think we have a question over here too. If like she said, she may not know the exact answer, but she knows the people that know the answers. Do not spend 15 or 20 minutes trying to hunt down the person to try to find an answer. Email one of us and let us do that for you. We may already know who to contact, and it will save you a lot of legwork. So reach out anytime, even if it's not school counseling related. We'll take your questions and we'll get you to the right person if we don't know the answer. I would much rather spend my time doing that, or instead of you doing all that legwork only to be told, oh, you have to email that person or email that person or email that person. We'll cut out all those middlemen for you, hopefully. All right.
Okay, hi, I have a question regarding the pilot program, the online course. Do you have an estimate of like how long that would take and how many participants can be in the pilot program? I really think that's a great idea about what you're doing with that.
Yeah. That is a wonderful question. So just to repeat the question, it was if we have like a projected amount of time that the piloters or the participants can expect to spend. Right now, we're shooting for about 35 hours. And that seems like a huge number. It is a huge number, but I will tell you all that we're having a hard time fitting in everything we want to talk about in 35 hours because advising, as we know it, is an onion. Every time we think we've got one topic figured out, we're like, oh, there's potential here, or we get this one figured out and something else will pop up. So I fully anticipate the 35 hours being the hard cutoff for this. Now, I will say too, it will be self-paced. A lot of it, 35 hours might be an over-exaggeration because it's going to depend on how quickly you read the information, how you want to synthesize and process it. There are activities along the way that that's like short answer or quiz, or think about a student that you've advised using this particular advising theory. So we get into a lot of advising theory with that too. So we say 35 hours, it could be less depending on how quickly you can kind of get through the information, or it could be more depending on how much time you want to kind of put in to exploring all of the resources and stuff. But I'm really hoping that we'll be able to offer a second course too and just kind of keep that advising conversation going. But right now I've got I think I have 13 folks that are interested in piloting. I would love to get to about 15 or 20. So we've got room. I'm not going to cut that. I won't cut that out. Yeah, thank you.
This question is for Mark. So when those letters are going out and they're including the financial aid piece, for our students who are high achieving that are eligible for those institutional scholarships from the colleges, are the colleges going to be, is there going to be a way for them to receive that information? Because I can't tell you how many times I had students that were eligible, but until I told them they were eligible, they didn't know it. They thought they had to go. Nothing wrong with community college, but if you've got a 29 or a 30 on your ACT, they need to know what their options are. Is there a way for that to be included in the direct admissions letters?
In terms of just like what schools they're eligible for,
Yeah,
and like the
financial
aid?
From that institution, those institutional merit-based scholarships.
And so, sorry, I may have glanced over this, but that under each school is the institutional aid that they are eligible for. And so if they're eligible, and each institution, for the most part, provided multiple scholarships based on the students' levels. So they will, I think if it's Cumberland, it says up to full tuition, right? So it gives them a number that they would be eligible for at that school based on their GPA and ACT that we have. And so here, I think it's the True Blue. If they're eligible for True Blue, it will say it on their letter based on, the ACT and GPA.
Okay, great. I guess I missed that when you were talking,
Oh,
so
no.
thank you.
So they are getting financial aid, and again, if they're eligible for GAMS or HOPE, it will be on there, and we'll kind of give them that information. And so, they're getting at least some type of merit-based aid picture. The dream is to one day have, if they're need-based, but that's a whole nother egg to crack. But it is, and again, if they're eligible for it, it's going to be on the letter. If they're not eligible for it, it won't be there. Even if they're eligible to get in the institution but not eligible for aid, it will show the institution but not the aid. Like this thing is coded to a lot of information.
All right here.
This question is for Mark. Last year, you all had a webinar covering direct admissions that was really helpful. Do you plan on doing that again this year?
We do. We have it scheduled for, I think it's like August 7th, 8th, and 9th. Before I leave, let me get your email and I'll make sure you get the invitation to that. But we do have, so we have one coming up for the partner institutions tomorrow, and then we have one for the districts happening, I think, next week. And then for public schools, I think is the first one. I think it's August 7th. 8th is the private school, and then The 9th will be for homeschools. I think those are the dates. Don't quote me on that, please.
Questions?
And I'm going to go into Mark's lane for just a minute and say, make sure your families and your students have heard of direct admissions so that when they get this letter, they don't think it's a scam. And that's one of the biggest things I think you got questions about is how do people know about it? I assume people know about it, but the fact is a lot of people don't. So just start talking about that and say, hey, you can expect your letter, and let the parents know to expect this letter, because I think it's just through our conversations in the spring, people are like, wait, what? Huh? And they weren't aware. And people I talk to just in my town about things, they're like, oh, that's a thing? Yes.
We talked about this the other day because somebody was like, it almost sounds too good to be true that you get this list of all these schools that people think it's spam, and it's like, but it's, and then the students at the top of their TSAC or THEC portal, it has like a banner and it almost looks a little ad-ish, and they're like, I thought this was an ad, so I didn't even click it. It is real. It is something we're doing. We're expanding it. It's going to 70,000 students this year. It's going to be very, very big. So we're very excited about it. And then kind of to your higher achieving students, I think we can make every excuse as to who and what like this program's for. For me, it's for everybody. In those high achieving students that may not have known about a scholarship at Fisk, or they find out about information about a different school, or we all know that things change for a student and they may need to go to a community college, or the opposite. They think they're only community college bound and they find something out and they're like, wow, I really am college material. Like, this is huge for all students in my book. Like, this can help every student in Tennessee.
And to piggyback on that, this is something that we talk about not just with juniors and seniors, but let's back it up in the middle and elementary school to let them start thinking about it. So question right here.
I think you just answered my question. If you had mentioned this already, I apologize. I have to switch my brain off from elementary with school counseling versus high school, middle school, Boys and Girls Club in the summer. But Boys and Girls Club right now, they are exposing their teen center to college tours. Like, we're about to go to Cumberland University, went to Austin Peay State University. But what is something that I can specifically tell them in regards of this? Is this specifically for rising seniors and juniors?
So direct admissions is for the class of 2027. So all state age eligible students in the class of 2027, when they do the Tennessee Promise, they will get their letter at some point throughout the process when we get their GPA. But again, this is huge because now we're using 6 semester GPAs to do this. So it's talking to juniors like, hey, at the end of this year, your 6 semester GPA, your ACT is going to give you a letter. If we're not taking it seriously, what are we looking at then? Like, our letter may be less or more, right? And so I was an advisor. I know trying to convince that student at the beginning of junior year, it's tough. But starting these conversations early, and hopefully when you get this, instead of having to apply to 15 schools with the student, now you can look at it and go, well, let's think about the 15 schools you want to go to versus, or, not. But, yeah.
And, I served a year as a Tennessee Promise advisor, and y'all, they need people to help in Tennessee Promise. So us, parents, anyone, they need people to help kids navigate Tennessee Promise. And anybody can, anyone can sign up to do that. Questions? Well, I believe we may wrap it up there with that one. And a team from Tennessee Department of Ed, wow, we are lucky to have you here. Brittany, Jamie, Mark, thank you for being here.